Welcome to Bookish Dives. We really dive deep into these awesome books, and today we're going to be tackling "Attitude is Everything" by Jeff Keller.
Yeah, it's a classic in self-help, and for good reason. It really dives into how a positive mindset can be like your secret weapon for, well, like pretty much everything from, crushing your goals to just like feeling more content with life.
Exactly. And you know what really struck me? Jeff Keller wasn't born with this, um, unwavering optimism. He actually started out as a lawyer and not exactly loving it.
Oh, yeah, he talks about how he was basically living the dream he'd had since, he was a kid. But the day-to-day reality of being a lawyer just totally drained him. Paperwork, delays, just a general feeling of, is this it?
Totally. It's that classic dreaded job scenario. So many people can relate to that. He even started having physical symptoms, headaches, stomach issues. Like doctors couldn't find anything wrong. It was like his body was screaming, something's got to change.
And that's when things take a turn. Late one night, he catches an infomercial, talk about random, for a program called the Mental Bank. It was all about the power of our subconscious beliefs.
And something just clicked for him. He was desperate enough to try anything, so he ordered it.
And that seemingly impulsive decision, it set off a chain reaction. It opened him up to this whole world of motivational thinking. He dove into books, listened to speakers like Zig Ziglar and Earl Nightingale. He was like a sponge, soaking it all up.
It's amazing how a single moment can redirect your entire, path. Eventually, he ditched law altogether and became a motivational speaker himself. Talk about a 180.
And you can feel that personal transformation woven through the entire book. It's not just theory, it's his lived experience, which makes it so much more relatable.
Absolutely. So one of the core concepts Keller introduces is this idea of attitude as a window. He basically says that our attitude acts like a filter for how we see the world.
Right. We all start with this clear window, but over time, negativity and limiting beliefs can grime it up. We start seeing everything through this distorted lens, and it makes it hard to spot opportunities or appreciate the good stuff.
It's like those glasses you haven't cleaned in a month. Everything is just blurry and dull. But the good news is we have the power to clean that window.
Exactly. We can choose to focus on the positive, challenge those limiting beliefs, and basically give our outlook a good scrub. And once that window is sparkling clean, well, the world suddenly looks a lot brighter.
And speaking of attracting the good stuff, Keller talks about this concept from Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about. It's about being a human magnet. What you focus your energy on is what you draw into your life.
He uses the example of someone setting income goals. And, it's not enough to just want more money. You have to actually believe you can earn it. Your thoughts have to be in alignment with your desires.
It's like that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. And, this leads us to one of the most powerful tools Keller highlights, and that's visualization. It's about creating these vivid mental pictures of your desired outcomes, almost like watching a movie in your mind.
He even shares this story about Jim Carrey. Back in 1987, before he was, a big star, Carrey wrote himself a $10 million check, dated it for 1994, and carried it in his wallet every day.
Talk about a visual reminder. And guess what? By 1994, he was making $10 million a movie. Now, whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, what's interesting here is the psychology behind it.
Right. It's about programming your mind to believe in your goals, to see them as achievable. And when you truly believe it, you start acting in ways that align with that belief.
And this ties into another crucial concept, commitment. Keller says it's not just about trying hard, it's about that unwavering dedication to doing whatever it takes, even when things get tough.
He tells this inspiring story about Dave Bruna, an entrepreneur who went through some seriously tough times, a near-fatal accident, bankruptcy, the whole 9 yards. But he clung to his dream of starting a business based on inspirational quotes. He took odd jobs to learn about printing and marketing. And eventually, he made it happen.
It's a testament to the power of not giving up on what you believe in, even when the universe throws some serious curveballs your way.
And what's interesting is that Keller himself experienced this kind of doors opening phenomenon. He was super committed to sharing these principles of positive thinking. And it led him to unexpectedly meet the person who would help him create his Attitude is Everything newsletter, which eventually paved the way for his book deal. It's when you're truly committed to something, the right people and opportunities just seem to show up.
Yeah, it's like the universe rewards you for taking that leap of faith. And this actually leads perfectly into another concept Keller explores, turning problems into opportunities. It's kind of mindset shift, right? Instead of seeing roadblocks, you start looking for the hidden potential, in those challenges.
It's easier said than done. But the stories he shares like really drive this point home. Like Pedro, who lost everything in a hurricane, even almost lost his family. You'd think someone in that situation would just like give up, but he remained incredibly positive and focused on helping others.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's a chance to find strength and purpose. It's about choosing how you respond to adversity. And sometimes that response can be incredibly inspiring.
It's like those choose your own adventure books. You get to decide which path you're going to take, even when the options seem like pretty grim.
Exactly. And, speaking of choices, Keller really dives into the power of our words. He's big on this idea that the language we use, it shapes our
He
reality.
even jokes about how he used to call himself mechanically challenged whenever like anything needed fixing around the house. But by constantly repeating that phrase, he basically convinced himself that he was like incapable of doing even basic repairs. It's like he accidentally hypnotized himself into being useless with, a hammer.
It's funny, but it makes you think, right? How often are we using language that um, reinforces negative beliefs about ourselves? It's like we're unknowingly planting seeds of doubt and limitation.
It's definitely a wake-up call to be more mindful of our self-talk. Those seemingly harmless phrases we throw around can actually have a huge impact on how we see ourselves and the world.
And it's not just about avoiding negative self-talk. It's also about actively using language that empowers us. Keller even challenges us to go beyond the typical "I'm okay" response when someone asks how we're doing.
He suggests trying out more like energetic, positive responses, like fantastic or I'm on fire today. It might feel a little weird at first, but he argues that consistently using that kind of language can actually shift your mood and outlook.
It's like you're tricking your brain into feeling good.
Right. And on that note, he also talks about the importance of stopping complaining. It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially when it comes to things like, the weather or traffic.
It's like we get addicted to the negativity, but complaining rarely solves anything. It just keeps us stuck in a cycle of frustration.
And nobody wants to be around a chronic complainer, right? It's just draining.
Exactly. It's like contagious. Keller challenges us to shift our focus from complaining about problems to finding solutions.
And speaking of finding solutions, one of the most impactful things we can do is surround ourselves with positive people. He talks about the concept of toxic versus nourishing relationships. The people we spend time with can either lift us up or drag us down.
He uses this analogy of a sponge. We absorb the energy of those around us. So it's crucial to be mindful of who we're letting into our lives.
It's like choosing your diet. You wouldn't load up on junk food if you're trying to be healthy, right? So why would you surround yourself with people who bring you down?
It's a great analogy. And, this focus on positive relationships ties in beautifully with Killer's advice on confronting our fears. He argues that real growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zones, and face the things that make us uncomfortable.
He talks about this concept of the comfort zone being like a circle. Anything inside that circle feels safe and familiar, but the real magic happens when we venture beyond those boundaries. He even gets personal and shares a story about how he used to be like terrified of asking girls out on dates in high school. He was so afraid of rejection that he just like avoided it altogether. But of course, that only reinforced his insecurity.
It's a reminder that the price of staying in our comfort zones is often a limited and unfulfilling life. And that's something a lot of us can relate to, right? We all have those fears that hold us back. But the only way to overcome them is to face them, head on.
And Keller doesn't sugarcoat the fact that this journey often involves failure. He dedicates a whole chapter to the importance of getting out there and failing, reframing it as a necessary part of growth and success.
He tells this amazing story about Sally Jesse Raphael, the talk show host, and how she basically endured decades of setbacks and rejections before finally hitting it big. She was fired multiple times, struggled financially, moved countless times, but she never gave up on her dream.
It's like those inspirational quote posters come to life. It's about recognizing that failure is just part of the process. Nobody gets it right on the first try. And those who succeed are often the ones who have, failed the most.
He even compares it to learning to ride a bike. As kids, we fall down, we get back up, we try again. Somewhere along the way, we lose that resilience and start fearing failure. But it's something we can reclaim.
It's about shifting our perspective and seeing failure not as a defeat, but as a learning opportunity.
And, speaking of opportunities, this brings us to Keller's last key principle, networking that gets results. It's about recognizing the importance of building genuine relationships and leveraging those connections for mutual benefit.
He shares how his own success was largely a result of networking. He met a freelance writer at a conference, and that connection led to him creating his newsletter, which eventually landed him a book deal. It all stemmed from that single, connection.
It highlights the power of putting yourself out there, building relationships and being open to new opportunities. Keller really stresses that it's not about using people or being manipulative. It's about building genuine connections based on mutual support and a desire to help each other succeed.
He gives some really practical tips, too, like being an active participant in, groups and organizations, being a good listener, and consistently following up with your contacts. He even talks about the importance of being, specific when making referrals and always following up to see how things turned out.
It's about creating a system of mutual support where everyone benefits from each other's success. And, one thing that really resonated with me was his advice to treat everyone with respect and kindness, regardless of their perceived influence.
You never know where your next valuable connection is going to come from. So it's about building those bridges with everyone you encounter. It's about approaching networking with a spirit of generosity and a genuine desire to connect with others, not just seeing it as a way to climb the ladders. It really is about shifting your mindset from what can I get to how can I contribute. And, after going through all these concepts, it's clear that attitude is everything isn't just some, fluffy feel-good book. It's a call to action to really examine our thoughts, our words, and the people we surround ourselves with.
It's a toolkit for building a more positive and fulfilling life. And, what I find so inspiring is that Keller's own transformation, it proves that it's possible for anyone. He wasn't born with this sunshine and rainbows personality. He cultivated it brick by brick.
Right. He was that guy stuck in a job he hated, feeling physically and mentally drained. If he can turn his life around, it gives me hope that we all can.
Absolutely. And, it doesn't have to be this massive overnight overhaul either. It can start with small intentional shifts.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into attitude is everything, I want to leave you with this question. If Jeff Keller could pinpoint one thing that transformed his life, what's one small attitude adjustment you can make today to start creating your own miracles?
It could be as simple as catching yourself when you start to complain and reframing it as a problem to solve. Or maybe it's consciously using more, positive language, both in your self-talk and with others.
Or maybe it's take a look at your social circle and deciding to spend more time with people who energize you rather than those who, drain you.
Every little step counts. It's like building momentum. The more you practice these principles, the more natural they become. And the more you start to see those, positive ripples in every area of your life.
Like a snowball effect for good vibes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode and what resonated with you. What's one takeaway you're going to put into practice? Until next time, keep those attitudes positive and those minds open to new possibilities. 7500.